Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way, where you find us about an hour and a quarter away, or just under an hour from kick-off from Lazio v Celtic. It's match day 5 in the Champions League group stage. My name is Ryan McGinlay, at the Ryan McGinlay on the X handle. Tonight, I'm delighted to be joined once again by Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10 on the X handle. Tony, how are you doing this evening?
I'm all right. I'm fine. Yeah, just looking at that team, and I guess I'm not going to say optimism abounds, but hey, we've been here before, so we'll take what we get tonight. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. Before we get started talking about tonight's or this evening's game that's happening in just over an hour's time, this video, as all our videos, are brought to you by MPH Group, who are Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trade specialists who sponsor this video. They cover mainland Scotland. Winter is rolling in, and if you're thinking of giving your home heating system a boost, MPH have an enticing Navien Boiler Winter Promotion just for you. When you opt for a Navien Boiler installation through MPH Boilers or sponsors, not only are you choosing top-tier efficiency, but you're also getting a free Navien Internet Controller, which can crank up your boiler's efficiency to an impressive 98%. The cherry on top is that they're covering the first year's service at no added costs. Navien are gunning for Product of the Year at the H&V News Awards, the Oscars of the heating world. The Navien ON range comes with an up to 12 years parts and labour warranty, which is some serious peace of mind in terms of product. Big shout out to MPH, as they're also nominated for Small Company of the Year at the same awards. MPH even offer flexible finance options, so gear up for the chill and consider making a smart move with MPH and Navien. All the links are in the description below. If you're looking for plumbing, heating, kitchens or bathroom work, then look no further than MPH Group. And as always, or for this week anyway, we are currently showing our Black Friday deal, which is going on from last Friday to this Friday. Please get involved. For only £12, you can enjoy a year of quality Celtic coverage for less. Please subscribe at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. You'll get instant analysis from myself and Tony after the game today. You'll also get the Q&As from the manager and the player after the game, which means you don't even need to listen to the press conference. You can just read it, and then that'll be you. You'll be able to gauge what the manager's saying. Win, lose or draw, we will be there giving out those Q&As after the game. Also on there's opinion pieces, there's stats pieces, as well as scouting pieces as well. Anything that you could look for regarding Celtic. We cannot continue to do these videos without you, so if you please visit www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, then you'll be able to get a subscription with the Celtic Way. £12 for 12 months, works out £1 a month. If you're interested, then please get involved. So we should probably talk about the game that's happening in about an hour and 5 minutes, Tony. Match day 5. It's win or bust for Celtic in the Champions League. You know, they know what they have to do in this game, so we might as well just bring up the team that I constructed just before we came on air. Here is the team in full. We've got Joe Hart in goals. The defence is Greg Taylor, Liam Scales, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and I've said Ralston, but it's Johnson there. It must be a different one. I will change that and bring that back up.
Yep.
We've got Bernardo and McGregor, then O'Reilly further forward, Yang and Forrest in either wing position, and Kyogo up front. So let me just change that. And while I change that, Tony, what's your instant reaction to that team?
Well, the manager seems to like Bernardo, doesn't he? We spoke this morning and we thought Turnbull would get the nod, but Bernardo's in there because he can maybe recycle the ball and decent passing. He's got a wee bit of physicality, I think, as well, hasn't he? So I can only assume that's why he's there. And again, I alluded to it this morning, didn't I? If you were listening to the manager's comments yesterday, James Forrest, I just thought he was a stick on to start. You threw in an idea about playing up front alongside Kyogo out wide, but whilst I thought it was a worthwhile suggestion and had lots of merit, I just thought the manager was a stick on to play Forrest because of the way he spoke. He more or less said he, didn't he? We told him to get himself fit for this game, which is why he wasn't even on the bench against Motherwell. So, yeah, interesting one. Again, Bernardo, will he be ring rusty, having not played for a few weeks? But listen, he's come from a good academy in Benfica, and the very highly rated under-21 internationalist. So, and he has played for Celtic in the Champions League. Played against Atletico Madrid, didn't he? And didn't do too badly. So he's he knows what to do. He knows how to perform, and he's been entrusted with a game of this magnitude, as you said. It's win or bust. And let's be honest, Celtic have gone to Rome and won before, so lightning can strike twice. I think you're going more in hope than optimism, aren't you? But Celtic, their hands forced, isn't it? Go and win the game, right?
In some ways, I think that can suit Celtic because they know their objective. They know that they have to win. If they don't win, they're out of the competition and they're out of Europe altogether. So they know what they have to do. They have to go out and get that win, go hell for leather, basically, in the Stadio Olimpico. And who knows what can happen on the night. They're facing a Lazio team that are admittedly not in the best vein of form at the moment at all. Maurizio Sarri is a man very much under pressure by the Italian media and the Lazio fans as well. They're looking. I think their sort of respite in the league this season has been in the Champions League, where they've had better results than in their domestic campaign. Seems as if it's the opposite for Celtic. Celtic seem to be getting all the bad results. I know they got a draw at the weekend, but a poor run of form, especially in the Champions League, apart from that draw against Atletico Madrid. But their form is better domestically, so it's a bit of a U-turn for the two teams. But they're definitely a team that's under pressure, aren't they? Maurizio Sarri's under a lot of pressure to get a result tonight, and you're just hoping that Celtic can play into Celtic's hands.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brendan Rodgers was even asked that yesterday, that this is the kind of worst point in Lazio's season, and can Celtic turn that into their advantage? Brendan Rodgers said it's the Champions League. It does things to teams, doesn't it? Even when you're not performing well domestically, you can rise to the occasion. So he called canny on that kind of question, and he was asked what he thought about Maurizio Sarri, and he said that he was a very highly experienced coach, and he did well at Chelsea. So he was very diplomatic as well. But I think maybe he does think that Celtic can maybe get Lazio at this time, when, not saying they'll be at low ebb, but they lost on Sunday, didn't they, to the bottom of the league team? So I would imagine confidence isn't great, but they came to Parkhead and did a number on Celtic, and an absolute number it was, because they arguably deserve 1 point, let alone 3. So, smash and grab stuff, Celtic probably should have edged that, and it's the one that's come back to bite Celtic, but they've got a chance to atone for it. And as I say, you look at 4 years ago and the performance Celtic put on that night. There's a man that's playing in the lineup that night and he scored. Can he do it again? That's the objective, isn't it?
You want that lightning to strike twice, aren't you?
Yeah, indeed, or any of the players to score. But can Kyogo get that would be his third goal in the Champions League if he scores tonight, wouldn't it? Am I right in saying that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you just want them to give a good performance, give a good account of themselves, and if they get chances to take them, be clinical. The manager spoke about that. At this level, you have to be clinical, and I think Celtic can create chances tonight. I think they do have to have a go, don't they? They need to win to take it down. I want them to take it to Game 6, Ryan. That's the ideal scenario. Win tonight and take it to Game 6, with your fate in your hands, and the chips fall where they may. If they lose tonight or draw, then the post-mortem will begin about how disastrous a campaign it's been. But there are fine margins. They have competed well, and we've spoken about that. And that first half, especially against Atletico Madrid, it's the best I've seen Celtic play in attacking and tempo in a long, long time on the European stage. But he didn't maintain it over the whole game, But from small acorns, they are working on it, and and there's been bits in every game up until Atletico Madrid away where they were highly competitive. Going to be highly competitive tonight in an arena which some of the, especially somebody like Forrest, he should have no qualms going into that, no fear at all. Go in there and show it and do it again. And he's been trusted to do it again, isn't he? So, excuse me. So, the stage is set for somebody like him to have one of those nights. He's an evergreen winger, isn't he? He just keeps turning up for important games. So, give us a turn, James, basically,
Yeah, he's definitely been trusted upon by Brendan Rodgers tonight to turn back the years. I know that Neil Lennon was in charge for that game against Lazio in 2019, but we'll be hoping, I'm sure Brendan Rodgers was watching that game when it was transpiring. That was probably when he was in the worst books with the Celtic support. Yeah, he would have been watching that game. And Forrest's goal, I know Owen Cham's goal gets talked about a lot, but Forrest's goal in that game is an absolute screamer. It's one of those classic European goals for Celtic, where it's from a tight angle and it just goes in the far corner of Lazio's goal. A really, really good goal. And it was a really, really famous night. And Celtic are going to need to have another famous night if they're to keep their European hopes alive for after Christmas. Just looking at the team, Tony, who would you say are the standout players in terms of who's going to make a difference tonight? Do you think it's going to be a collective 11-man performance tonight? Or do you think there's any individual players that stand out there? Do you look at Yang thinking this could be the game that he explodes onto the scene? Could this be the game that Bernardo stakes his claim in that midfield forevermore? Well, not forevermore, but over the next couple of games. Or could it be somebody that we don't speak about? Forrest, could he be the star? O'Reilly, could he continue his good form this season? Looking at that team, look at those 11 men on the pitch and maybe some of the players on the bench. Who do you think is going to be the difference maker tonight if there is going to be a famous victory in Rome?
I think we need 11, Ryan, and the ones that come on at whatever part they play. But we need a team collective tonight. I just think that it's vital, and the manager touched upon it as well. Got to keep 11 men on the park and give yourself every fighting chance to stay in the game. We spoke about staying in the game before, didn't we? And it all went wrong. And the guys know from bitter experience what referees are like in Europe. So don't overcommit if you don't need to. Don't give them decisions to make if they don't have to, i.e. the officials, that is, obviously. But I think Celtic need to be a collective tonight. And I think if they can create for Kyogo, then I think he'll take a chance. But they need to create. And I think you touched upon it there. You need Yang and Forrest to be an outlet, take the ball a walk, give your defenders a breather. Maybe you need O'Reilly coming in to back up the strikers as well, making those forward runs, penetrating forward runs. So that, talk about it a lot, but that 4 forward, O'Reilly, Yang, Kyogo and Forrest, they're your difference makers. You're looking for Bernardo just to stay there and be physical and win the ball and give it to football players like O'Reilly, or give it to the wide men and just be steady and be assured and accomplished and calm. Which he was against Atletico Madrid. I was very impressed with him against Atletico Madrid. So asking him to do something that's alien to his nature. Calmac, everybody talks about Calmac being up and down this season. Yeah, he has been. You said his performance against Atletico Madrid was probably one of the worst you've seen from Callum in a Celtic jersey. So
for years, I think that was a real subpar performance.
Yeah, that's consigned to the bin. So this is a new game. And Celtic have a new chance. They've still got a chance to breathe new life into their campaign. Take it to game 6. That's all the Celtic supporters are asking. There's a massive contingent of Celtic fans over there cheering them on. So give them something to cheer about and stay in it as long as possible. Stay competitive as long as possible. And I know it sounds, very simple, but it is simple. And if you get a chance, it has to go, Ryan. It has to go. None of this ruin, missed opportunities. If Celtic get an opportunity, they have to be clinical, because if it happens in the other box, Lazio will be clinical. You found that out to your cost. So, I think Celtic have to start taking a leaf out of European teams' books. When they get a chance, it's buried, isn't it? No messing. It's in the net. So I really do think that chances might be at a premium tonight, but if we get any, then they have to go. It's as simple as, and I think the manager will have drummed it into them as well, because he always talks about the difference makers being the quality up front, doesn't he? With top European teams. So if you're aspiring to be any kind of European team, you need to be clinical up top, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just having a wee look up to see Lazio's striker today. Now, I'm sure he was at Girona last season. It's quite interesting just going through the Lazio lineup. There's a couple of really familiar names. One of them on the bench is Ciro Immobile, who,
Yeah.
that's a big surprise that he's on the bench. I would assume that, I don't know about any injury issues with regard to Lazio or anything like that. I don't know their current standings in terms of who's been playing in and out for them. But when you see Immobile on the bench, that seems like a bit of a surprise. In terms of familiar faces, you may remember Felipe Anderson had a spell at West Ham United. Luis Alberto played for Liverpool at one point. Matteo Guendouzi, he played for Arsenal. So there's a couple of real household names in the team just now. Immobile being on the bench is a big one. But yeah, I think the big surprise in the Lazio team is the fact that Ciro Immobile is on the bench. Castellanos is a good player. He was playing for Girona, was also playing for New York City as well, 25-year-old. But is that a surprise for you to see Ciro Immobile on the bench for Lazio tonight?
That's a surprise, but I'm genuinely delighted. So you can stay there, I hope, all night. Hope we don't throw him on. If we throw him on, then it might be going right for Celtic because they might need something. So yeah, but you players like that, they can hurt you. So if he's not starting, then that's a good thing. I'm not too clued up myself, Ryan, on his own personal form, but it's always, when players have a reputation, it's always nice to see them not playing against you and not facing you. So I'm delighted at that. But I think also as well, we've touched on it too, but I think at some point Celtic need to get some luck, don't they? Lady luck, good old-fashioned rub of the green, whether that be in terms of a penalty or a goal from nowhere, or to eke out a win, fluke a win, something like that. It's long overdue. I know you create your own luck and stuff like that, but I think Lazio were very fortunate to get a win at Celtic Park. So, I think Celtic have had the rub of the green in the wrong way, haven't they? Horrendous, bad luck at times. So I don't know if you believe in these things evening themselves out and all that. The law of averages says that you must eventually get some kind of good fortune. So I'm hoping that happens too. And as I say, Celtic put in a performance that merits some good fortune as well along the way. So we'll see what happens. But I'm holding out hope that something's got to give, Ryan, in terms of this group, and that Celtic actually turn up, good old-fashioned slice of lady luck and fortune, and they come away with a win that takes it all down to the last game.
Yeah, just going through Lazio's team very quickly. They've got Providel in goals. Their defence is Maruzic, Gila, Patric, and Lazzari. In the midfield is Luis Alberto, Rovella, if I can say that. I don't know why I struggled with that one. Guendouzi. See, I can see Guendouzi, but I can't say Rovella. That's ridiculous. And then up front, they've got a front three. They're playing in a 4-3-3 of Isaacson, Castellanos, and Felipe Anderson. So yeah, there are household names as we spoke about there, but Celtic are due some luck, especially in this Champions League group. You'd say over the past couple of years, but more so this Champions League group, because they've had the chances. The home game against Lazio is the big one for me. It's the big one. That Luis Palma goal, which still feels like a goal in my head before it was so cruelly given offside. Correct decision at the end of the day, but at the same time, it's very, very disappointing.
Small margins, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they go up and score a late goal, which was so disappointing. When it looked as if Celtic were getting a decent point, but a disappointing point at that point. How many times can you say point in the one sentence there?
But you just felt mugged in that game, didn't you? Because the manager spoke about it as well, saying, a point was bad enough to take from that game which you dominated, but to lose it and take nothing. These are harsh lessons you learn, isn't it, in Europe? That learning curve that Celtic continually seem to be on, and that's what gets to you a bit, isn't it? So I think tonight concentration is key as well. You have to stay fully focused for 90 and beyond, however long the game lasts, and not switch off, because that's what happened at Celtic Park. It was a momentary lapse, I think, by Carter Vickers, lost the ball, and all of a sudden you were sprung, and I think Lazio flooded 5 men forward. Wasn't it something like that? And
they were a bit. It's the only time that I think I'll compare Lazio and Motherwell in the same sentence. But they smell blood, and they got that chance. You know, it
in that
wasn't
moment.
through a corner or anything like that. It was through a dispossession of the ball from a rusty Cameron Carter-Vickers, his first game back from injury.
Yeah.
So he was rusty. They took the ball back. Yes, there was a few passages of play before that goal transpired. You know, there was a couple of passing movements, but that was the big moment, that dispossession, and then Lazio got the goal. I've tried my best to get that goal out of my head, but it's still very, very clear. It was a poor goal to concede, especially so late on. It seemed as if they turned off for the draw. Instead of the draw, they get defeat.
It's the moment you look back on in this. The tide shifted in terms of the group, wasn't it? That moment right there, where you had a win in your hands, and then not only did you not get a point, you got nothing from it, having played so well. So yeah, I think you'll look back on that as being crucial should Celtic exit tonight. Here's hoping they don't. Still got the chance to guarantee European football beyond Christmas with 2 wins in the last 2 games. And as I say, they've been to Rome and they've won recently against the same, well, not the same side, but in the same place. So but it's Celtic away in Europe. Kevin McKenna said this morning he might be watching some of the game through splayed fingers. You know, you just don't know. You said yourself as well. You don't know what Celtic. Yeah, you don't know what Celtic will turn up, do you? And he's put out a team there, which you will find out in the fullness of time, whether it can go toe to toe with Lazio on Italian soil again and register Celtic's only be their second ever win in Italy in the same place. But you know, lightning strikes twice, Ryan. These things are, records and all that are meant to be broken, and history on nights like this when you seemingly adversity because you've got several members of key personnel missing. But these are nights when, as you said, they're unlikely heroes are made and born. Overhead kick from Scales, something like that. As someone keeps putting in the comment section, but conceivably that could happen. Scales could get his head on the end of something and score. So yeah, it's the stage is set. Go out and give yourself every possible chance. I just want Celtic to take this down to game 6, Ryan, and if it goes to a head-to-head with Feyenoord or the last game against Feyenoord, Celtic Park will be the place to be. Match day 6 in the Champions League, and I think by then you might find, some supporters, a certain section of the supporters back. You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Because they would need that, certainly that night, wouldn't they? They would need the backing of the Green Brigade and the boys.
Absolutely.
And, can you imagine if Celtic take it down to game 6, what the atmosphere will be like at Celtic Park that night? It will be absolutely electric. So this is the chance. That's the team that Brendan Rodgers and the players that he's picked to go and do battle. So Celtic are entering their own kind of version of the Coliseum tonight. But, gladiators ready, go and do it. That's what I would say. And nothing to be fearful of, because Lazio aren't exactly firing on all cylinders themselves. So go and do to them what they did to us in their own backyard. That was what my message would be, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm just having a wee look at the group standings at the moment. Feyenoord are on 6 points, Lazio are on 7, Atletico Madrid are on 8 just now. Celtic need to have 6 points to have any chance of getting European football after Christmas. Even then, those 6 points might not even be enough. That's just how cruel the situation is for Celtic. Cruel in some ways, and at the same time, it's down to Celtic's shortcomings that are in a position where they've only got 1 point after 4 games, when they probably should have a lot more, at least another 1 or 2, I would say, if not 3 or 4, down because of the Lazio game, the reverse fixture. Just if Celtic were to get 6 points, then they would go to 7 points. Lazio are already on 7 just now. Feyenoord are on 6. It could be even if Celtic win tonight, there's permutations that they might not even be able to go through, even with a win tonight. That's just the unfortunate reality of the way the group is just now. Another thing I was going to bring up was just there's 2 points, and you can answer either one that you want with regard to the group standings or the subs that I'm about to talk about. Notable omission probably being Tomoki Iwata isn't quoted whatsoever for the Champions League squad. You would assume, you're hoping that's, well, you don't hope for an injury, but at the same time you'd hope it's injury related and not tactically related, because Celtic don't have any backup in that position in the number 6 role for Carl McGregor. You're hoping that it's down to an injury, that's maybe a knock that's left him out of the game. I was also going to talk about the fact that Mitchell Frame has been called up. He wasn't in the youth side that were so impressive in winning 2-0 against Lazio in Rome today. Mitchell Frame, who's been playing in the B team, he's a left back. He's quoted on the bench this evening for Celtic. But just going off those 2 points from the group standings to Mitchell Frame getting that call up and Tomoki Iwata getting the omission in the team, what are your viewpoints on those two, Tony?
Well, first and foremost, Celtic need Feyenoord to lose tonight, don't they? Yeah.
Is a draw not enough? Because then it would go to 7 points.
Okay, so if Celtic win and Feyenoord draw, and Celtic beat Feyenoord, then they would both be on 7. Is that right? Yeah. It would come down to head-to-head.
Yeah, if Feyenoord get a point tonight, they'll be on 7. If they lose tonight, they'll still be on 6.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So conceivably, the Celtic just have to win tonight, don't they? And hope that Feyenoord don't win. Basically, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is that Lazio can get brought into it as well.
Yeah.
The fact that they're on 7 points ahead to head. If Celtic were to perhaps win by 2 goals, then that would put them in an even better. So I'm not going to get too greedy at this point, to be honest, because it's good that Celtic still have something to play for. But if they could win something like 2-0 or 3-1, that would be absolutely ideal, given the stage that they're at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Now, going on to your second point, I'm hoping that it's injury related with Iwata, but if it's not, then clearly the manager just doesn't fancy him, because he's not quoted at all, is he? And I think that's a big disappointment for a lot of Celtic supporters, because they like the look of Iwata, don't they? And in the cameos that he's had, and the manager spoke highly of him when he scored at Tynecastle that day, didn't he? But he's not had a real look in since, has he? So I hope that the question's asked of him afterwards about Iwata and he gives an answer to that, because it would just leave it hanging in the air, kind of suspended, wouldn't it? If he's suspended in mid-air, if he's not asked about Iwata. But I don't know, just doesn't seem to be a Rodgers type of player, does he? Because he's not giving him a real sniff at all, both domestically and in Europe. So, as I say, I hope it's injury related, but not seriously injury related, if you get what I mean. And that's why he's not in the side.
Just a knock, not an injury.
Yeah, young Mitchell Frame coming in, great experience for him, and you can see tonight, for himself what it's all about, being part of the first team, and I don't know, he might even get some minutes, won't he, depending on how it goes. And if
left
he does,
left back's a really interesting position, actually. Just going off the reports in the past couple of hours, I think it's probably a good place to talk about that as well, that Celtic have been linked with a left back. He was a left winger and right winger. Now he's been converted to a left back. Product of the Portuguese national team and Benfica's academy as well. The under-21 Portuguese sort of set up as well. That's what I was meaning. Thiago Araujo of Stadio is getting linked with Celtic. He's a left back according to Transfer Market. He can also play left wing and right wing, and he stands at around about 6 feet tall. He's a product of Benfica's academy, the same as Jota and Bernardo. It seems as if from the reports that there is something in this, that Brendan Rodgers wants to get this completed quite quickly at the start of the transfer window in January. He's obviously assessed the left-back options. You look at Bernabei, you look at Taylor. Both, Taylor is getting uncontested at left-back at the moment, but he's struggling in that position. Bernabei just isn't getting quoted whatsoever. So regardless of the situation with Taylor being the first choice left back or not, there needs to be another left back in there because there's only one that's playing at the moment. Whether it's backup or he's going to come in as a number one choice at left back, there needs to be another one there. That's interesting developments, isn't it, over the past couple of hours, Tony?
Yeah, and you'd have to think that Celtic have done their homework on him as well. There seems to be a lot of fruit that they're trying to pick from that cherry tree that is the Benfica Academy.
I can't blame them, to be honest.
Yeah, of course you can't blame them because it's serving them well, isn't it? It served them well with Jota, and I say Bernardo's getting Champions League game time as well, so he's clearly doing something right in the eyes of the manager. So if a left back has been targeted and that's who fits the bill, your man from Esterol, then so be it. We wait to see what happens with that. But you said there's quite a lot of talk, isn't there, media-wise, and there seems to be some kind of movement on it. So I'm hoping that that's a player that Brendan Rodgers has identified as well.
This is round about the time.
Excuse me.
When you think about it, end of November, start of December. This is when, in 2021, in Ange Postecoglou's first season, Celtic supporters and journalists alike started to hear about the names of Daiser Maeda and Rio Hatate as being real options for Celtic in the January transfer window. It just so happened they got announced on, I think it was Hogmanay, in that treble deal with Ideguchi as well, the lesser spotted Ideguchi. There's another midfielder that didn't get game time.
They were announced before the January window even opened, weren't they?
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, that was a great sort of a momentum booster going into the second half of the season. Probably won Celtic the title, in all honesty. Those players that came in, or 2 out of the 3, were so important in getting the title over the line, wrestling the title back from Rangers. You're just hoping that if this is a concrete link with Thiago Araujo, who was at Benfica and Benfica's B team before moving permanently to Estoril, he is an Estoril player. You're hoping that if that is a concrete deal, then it can get done relatively quickly and he can come in January and ply his trade very, very straight away, almost, because he is playing first team football. He's an ever-present in that Estoril team, who I think are 12th or 13th in the Portuguese league. The point I was making to a couple of people talking today is that if he is a standout, and there must be a reason why Celtic are looking at this player, a player that's in the 12th place or 13th place team in Portugal, he must be a standout candidate. If he's a standout for a poor team that's struggling in that league, then think about what he can be like in a possession-based heavy team like Celtic. I think that if this has legs, as it looks like it does, judging by the reports and the murmurings in the media, then this could be another good deal for Celtic.
And you'd also think that the player first port of call would be the likes of Jota and Bernardo to say, what's it like? Should I do this? And I don't think he would need convincing twice if he spoke to those two, would he, about where his future could potentially lie. And as you say, if he can stand out in a poor team like that in terms of their positioning in the Portuguese league, then he could bring a lot, couldn't he, to Celtic? But again, I just hope that I hope the manager's identified them, but I guess that Celtic are working to some kind of template here with the Benfica Academy players, aren't they? And there will be recommendations being made to Brendan Rodgers, players who have graduated from that academy, and Brendan Rodgers will be all over that himself. He'll know who's graduated from the Benfica Academy, having watched the progress of the likes of Jota, having brought in Bernardo, and then he will have taken advice from others about other players like Thiago Araujo. So, again, go back to always do about connecting dots, joining dots and connecting lines and stuff, and there seems to be lots of murmurings about this and movement in a more positive direction. So it could well be, Ryan, that Celtic are going to maybe get something like that lined up pretty quickly. And left back's a position that obviously we spoke about this morning. We've spoken about it many, many times on the briefing. Lots of the supporters have spoken about it. Commenters say goalkeeper, left back, striker. It just seems to be the kind of default, doesn't it, for what Celtic need? Goalkeeper, left back, midfield, enforcer, striker. Goalkeeper, left back, midfield, enforcer, striker. That's the kind of 4 positions that lots of people would say lots of Celtic supporters would say, a priority for the club at the minute. So there's the first link, and you're not even in December yet, and it's a left back. It doesn't surprise you, does it?
No, these are the two positions that were so clear. Even on Saturday, you could say they were clear that they need
But they were clear in the
improvements in.
summer, weren't they?
Yeah, they were clear in the summer. Everybody was talking about it. I remember in the Feyenoord game, especially. I remember tweeting a couple of days before, and I brought this tweet up on Saturday night. I quote tweeted it again, saying that the bank balance is good, but these bank balances and numbers and profits, they can't play at left back and goalkeeper. They don't make good players in those positions. You've got to spend that money, speculate to accumulate, and balance out the team, because you can't have any weak areas. If you have weak areas, then teams such as Lazio this evening, Atletico Madrid did it too. I think they did it on both sides, to be honest. It's up to Johnson to put in a good performance tonight, but they did target Taylor in both legs. Due to his height, they knew that they could get joy down that side, and they certainly did, because they get the penalty in the home game. And then it was his side again for the second goal, for the second equaliser at Celtic Park. And then it was an absolute nightmare from Alistair Johnson, to be fair, and the Metropolitano. That was a game that he will want to forget really, really quickly if he hasn't already done so. Left back and goalkeeping positions, they're the two that need to be. I think they're the ones that are in most need of reinforcements. I think if Celtic don't sign any strikers, then I think it would be a problem, but not as much of a problem as if they don't get the left back and goalkeeper situation sorted. More left back than goalkeeper, I would say, at this stage, because I think Joe Hart can do a job in most games, but at left back, you're seeing a weak link, unfortunately, and I think that needs to get rectified.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly, and it's like, as you say, bank balances don't play left back or goalkeeper. It's like getting plaudits for performances in the Champions League. Don't like plaudits, Ryan. I like points. I mean, that's what I want. Plaudits, no thanks. Points is your currency. It always is. So why not get your first win tonight, Celtic, and take it down to the wire? And but I think we've banged on enough about goalkeepers and left backs, haven't we? In summer, and you and I and most Celtic supporters can see that. I'm sure the management team see that. Don't need to tell them at all. But I think you will see movement on those kind of things that Brendan Rodgers wants, and hopefully he is given money to bring in that quality that he was promised in the AGM by Michael Nicholson, who said there was money there for Brendan Rodgers to spend in January, and the manager himself has said that it's not necessarily a difficult January window. So putting two and two together, I say he would probably have some irons in the fire. Thiago Araujo may well be one of those irons in fire that we've been talking about, i.e. in a problematic position, or ever increasing problematic position, left back. So I'm fairly confident that if it's not Thiago Araujo, then you'll see other links to left backs as well. But I think that's the first one that's the first kind of warning shot over the bow, isn't it, in terms of a player that's been identified, and it might be that discussions are down some kind of line, Ryan, further down a line than anyone else, maybe.
Yeah, so potentially.
We watch that with interest.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we finish off, if I could just get everybody in the comments to give their sort of shoot prediction on how they believe tonight's going to go, maybe even a first goal scorer as well. We'll continue to go for another sort of 5 minutes or so. But I'll ask you, Tony, what are you expecting from tonight, and what is your prediction and potential first goal scorer, if you do have a goal scorer on the night?
Well, I'm basing this more on hope than optimism, but I'm going to say 2-1 Celtic. I'm going to say Kyogo. Say a repeat of 4 years ago, Celtic to win 2-1, Kyogo to score first. But that's based on not blind optimism, but I'm keeping the faith, Ryan. Let's put it that way, as they say.
Absolutely.
And I think Celtic will take it down to match day 6. It's win or bust. They know what's at stake, and I think that could give them that extra spurt of energy that they need. But caveat that with saying they need to keep 11 men on the park.
Brendan Rodgers said that as well.
It's imperative. It's absolutely imperative. And
it seems so simple, but it's not been simple so far for Celtic so far in Europe, especially away from home, to keep 11 men on the park.
Yeah. What about yourself? Are you?
I'm gonna go for 1-0. I think Celtic are gonna sneak it.
Okay.
They'll sneak it with a 1-0. It's not gonna be a nice watch tonight, I don't think. I think it's going to be end to end. I think it's going to be frantic. Both teams know what's at stake. You know, they can't allow, in Lazio's perspective, they can't allow Celtic to get back into this group. The way they can do that is by stopping them from winning, which is by a draw or a win of their own. If they get a draw, then it eliminates Celtic, and it'll be between Feyenoord and Lazio for second and third place. They'll know they'll have Europe after Christmas, and they can play with that freedom. If Celtic can get that win, then, you know, it really does throw the proverbial cat amongst the pigeons in the group. All of a sudden, I think there'll be a wee bit of panic that Celtic, you know, who looked down and out against Atletico 6-0, would be back in the swing of things. Like you, I just want there to be a competition to talk about in match day 6. I want to know that the qualification is still on the table. I want to be going to that game hoping, you know, with a bit of bite, knowing that Celtic can still get something from the group, that they can still continue on in their European journey after Christmas. The reason why Brendan Rodgers came back in the first place was to improve Celtic in Europe. That was in his first interview. You know, you can't be rewriting history. This is what he said. He said he wanted to improve Celtic in Europe. At the moment, they've not got as good a points total as they did last year in the Champions League, although they've got a better result. In terms of Atletico Madrid at home, that's better than 2 results against Shakhtar Donetsk, home and away, a team that were struggling off the park, as well as trying to get something going on the park. But yeah, I'm going to go for 1-0. In terms of goal scorer, I can't shake Yang, unfortunately.
I knew you were going to say Yang. I just think he's got, Yang.
You know, he's got magic. He's got untapped potential, I would say. The potential is there. It's there to work with. And I think these nights bring up some of the weirdest and most wonderful heroes. Goals can come from maybe unfamiliar places. Now, I know he's a winger and goals are a part of his game, assists are too. But I'd love Yang to be the hero tonight, to really kickstart his career at Celtic. You know, he had that good performance against Aberdeen. Endeavoured against Motherwell, but nothing came off for him. Didn't hide. That's one positive I would say about him. He kept going. But, you know, if it's time for heroes tonight, and whoever scores that decisive goal to get a win for Celtic, if a win is to come tonight, will be a hero. So I'm hoping it's somebody. I don't mind who it is, to be honest, as long as that goal comes. As long as, if we are talking about a winner, then I don't care if it's an own goal. I don't care if Joe Hart scored a last minute winner.
I was going to say, it could be Joe Hart.
Scored that bicycle kick that we spoke about. If Carter Vickers has scored a back heel or something like that. I don't care how it transpires, as long as Celtic are on the winning end of things. But I'm going to go for 1-0. They're going to sneak it.
Comments coming in. We'll read a few of them. Uncle Nobby Steamboat, Wee Forest will nick the winner. Hazel Finn, evening Hazel, really hope 3-1. Kyogo first goal scorer, she's saying. Graham Caldwell, St Mirren fan. How you doing, Graham? All right, nice to have you on. O'Reilly, first goal scorer, 2-1 Celtic. Graham wish Celtic all the best in an earlier message as well. So thanks for that, Graham. Appreciate it. Liz Miller saying 3-1, hopefully to Celtic. Brian McGinlay, same as you, Brian. 1-0 Celtic. Doc 1967 is a wee bit more pessimistic. 3-0 Lazio. He's saying Brian McGarry, think the most Celtic will get is a 1-1 draw. And then he comes back. Brian McGinley comes in and says he would be happy with 1-1. So mixed bag there, Ryan.
I would be happy because we're out. Celtic would be out if that's the case. We need to have this mentality.
3-1 Celtic. Yep. Danny Boy saying can guarantee you Celtic's goal will not come from a corner. Plunge McNugget saying Celtic need to win. Yeah, exactly. 2-1 Celtic, Leslie Devine. So some optimism there as well. Ryan, we've always been optimistic. John Kerr.
No, there was optimism in the last show that we did, I remember. And there wasn't about a couple of hours later on. So,
but to be fair, we came on and we faced it. We fronted it up and we spoke about it. So if it's the same tonight, we'll be back on after the game once the work's done, and we'll front it up and we'll talk about the campaign.
Win, lose or draw, the Celtic way will be there to cover the post-match once we have completed the instant analysis and the Q&As regarding the game this evening. Just before we finish off, guys, once again, could we thank our sponsors that are at the top of the page, MPH Group and Navien Boilers. They are Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trade specialists covering all of mainland Scotland. If you're looking for your home heating system a boost, then MPH has a Navien Boiler Winter Promotion for you. Not only are you choosing top-tier efficiency when you go for a Navien Boiler, you're also getting a free Navien Internet Controller. They're covering the first year's service at no added costs. To top it all off, the Navien ON range comes with an up to 12 years parts and labour warranty, which is some serious peace of mind. MPH also offer flexible finance options, so gear up for the chill and consider making a smart move with MPH and Navien. And once again, before we finish off, I can just bring up the Black Friday deal. £12 for 12 months of unrestricted access to the Celtic Way website at www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. On there will be instant analysis from the game tonight, the Q&As from the manager and the players. There'll be stats bomb reports tomorrow from myself that I'll be working on early doors to get out by the afternoon. There'll also be scouting reports, potentially a scouting report on Thiago Araujo. Watch this space with regard to that. There's also statistical pieces as well from Alan Morrison and Stuart Ross too. So anything with regards to that you're looking for regarding your analytical pieces, then look no further than the Celtic Way. £12 for 12 months, their best ever deal. We cannot continue to do these free videos without you helping us with regard to paid subscriptions. Please check us out on www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe and get involved. Tony, I'll let you go and get sorted for the game. Thank you very much for joining me this evening.
Pleasure, and result dependent. Enjoy it, guys. We'll be back on to discuss whatever happens, but fingers crossed.
What happens, win, lose or draw, we will be there to discuss everything that happens in the 90 minutes and beyond. Thank you very much to everybody in the comments. We're sorry we couldn't bring up more. We'll try and endeavour to bring up more in the post-match, I think, especially given people's opinions on the events that transpired in those 90 minutes and in the hours beyond. Thank you, everybody, for joining us once again, and we will see you after the game for the post-match. Cheers, guys.